What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video. I'm Michigan Sports Talk here, and in this one, talk about the Texas State transfer kicker Beckham Sunderland, as Michigan appears to be getting a very good kicker that will be the kickoff specialist this season, but has a chance to be Michigan's field goal kicker the following season. We go over that, plus some big recruiting news for the Wolverines. Michigan set to get a visit from the top in-state target and top 100 wide receiver Dakota Guerrant, plus also five-star offensive tackle. Talks about his official visit schedule, and Michigan a top school for a 2026 four-star wide receiver, and the nation's #1 receiver Tristen Keys potentially will be taking a visit to Michigan. And then we also go over some key takeaways from Michigan basketball's huge win over Purdue. It's all going to be in this video and more, so let's go ahead and get right into it. Alright, so to start this video, I actually wanted to talk about one of Michigan's latest and newest transfer additions, and that is the Texas State kicker Beckham Sunderland, as he committed to Michigan February 7th, was a junior last season with Texas State, played in 2 games, was behind 2 great kickers at Texas State, and when he got his chance last season, towards the end of the season, he registered 8 kickoffs for 530 yards, a 66.3 yard average, including 6 touchbacks. Also went 1 for 1 on extra points. Now, Tommy Doman transferred to Florida. He was Michigan's punter and kickoff specialist. So, like we've mentioned before, Sunderland does add a need for Michigan. He will be Michigan's kickoff specialist most likely next season, and he also has the potential to compete for the punter position along with Hudson Hollenbeck, which Michigan still could get a punter from the transfer portal. But the big thing about landing Beckham Sunderland is he is a kicker that once Dominic Zvada is done this upcoming season here at Michigan, he has the chance to step right in the following season and be the starting kicker for the Wolverines. And Sunderland will also be able to, I'm sure, get some pointers and tips from Dominic Zvada, which will be huge. But obviously we all know, especially at Michigan, they really prioritize always having a good kicker, because that can be the difference from winning and losing games. Everybody knows that. It's one of the most underrated and more not so looked at position that is a very important position in football. Now, former Michigan kicker Brandon Kornblue, who does have his own camp and is the founder of Kornblue Kicking, and Sunderland is actually Kornblue's nephew. And speaking about Beckham, according to Chris Ballas of the Wolverine, he said that Beckham, even when he was a little kid, would kick with me, come to my camps. And he said he comes from a soccer family. His older brother has played with Messi the last 2 years. His dad played pro soccer, and he did say it was hard to get coaches to bite, but I think I have credibility. He said any coach who knows me knows I don't just push anybody. He said that Sunderland was incredible in workouts, and he's the only kicker I've ever worked with that has hit a 60-yarder back-to-back. He said at midfield, one kick, then turn around and kick it the other way, with the wind not being a factor at all. And he does have a big leg on kickoffs. He said that early in this mid-season, the one kickoff he had was like a 4.5 hang time, 7 yards deep in the end zone. Jake Moody has hit that maybe only a couple times. So it seems like Michigan's getting a good one out of Beckham Sunderland. And again, he will be probably the kickoff guy this year, and then also could potentially be kicking field goals next season for the Wolverines. So let me know what you guys think about that. Great to hear that, though. Michigan always prioritizes the kicker position in special teams. Had some great ones, especially recently. Jake Moody, they got a transfer from James Turner, then obviously got a transfer from Dominic Zvada, who was one of, if not the best kicker in college football last season, and poised to have a great season next season. And then also wanted to talk about some recruiting news here. First, wanted to talk about the 2027 4-star top 100 wide receiver Dakota Guerrant from Harper Woods, Michigan. One of the top wide receiver targets for the Wolverines here, especially in the 2027 class, but is an in-state target the Wolverines has to keep in the state of Michigan. And according to Brandon Hoffman of 24/7 Sports, he told him that I'm planning to go to Alabama, LSU, Michigan State, Michigan, and Ohio State for visits in March. So he said, I'll get back up to Michigan, talk with them more. And, he also said, I grew up with Bryce, so I know what kind of player he is, speaking on Bryce Underwood. And one thing that kind of held Michigan up is the offense. The receivers weren't always involved, and that was a factor with me. But I know with Bryce what they're going to be able to do. And Coach Ron Bellamy, Sharon Moore, they have been on him. So he knows what's coming, and obviously a lot of other receiver targets know, what is coming. And like we've talked about before, we said it many times, now it's time for Michigan to put it on display for them. So Michigan should be getting another visit from the in-state, very talented 2027 receiver target Dakota Guerrant. Also wanted to talk about the 2026 5-star number 1 ranked recruit, offensive tackle Jackson Cantwell. He did recently just release the top 6 consisting of Georgia, Missouri, Michigan, Ohio State, Miami, and Oregon, but he did tell Mike Roach of 24/7 Sports that I'm trying to schedule my official visits, and those are the 6 schools I can see myself visiting. I think I'll end up taking 4 or 5 official visits. Did say that Oregon might be tough because it's pretty far, but he said I'd love to get to Michigan and Miami, and he's also eyeing a summer decision. He said probably once I finish up his official visits. So Michigan going after obviously a ton of top talented offensive linemen. Had one of the best offensive line classes in the 2025 class, trying to keep that momentum going here in the 2026 class. And I also wanted to talk about the 2026 4-star wide receiver Nayland Scott, ranked 183rd nationally, a 6'2", 200-pound wide receiver. And Michigan is a top school. He told Ethan McDowell of On3 in the Wolverine that Michigan is most definitely going to be one of the top schools and most definitely going to be a high runner on my list. So I told him that I got a lot of love for them. They told me they got a lot of love for me, and they're just trying to get me back on campus. And he said the Wolverines sit in the top 5 for sure, easily. So good news there. Nayland Scott, a top wide receiver target for the Wolverines. Also worth mentioning that the 2026 5-star number 1 wide receiver on 24/7 Sports rankings, Tristen Keys from the state of Mississippi. He does plan on potentially going to Michigan for a visit. He told Brennan Hoffman of 24/7 Sports that I'm trying to get to USC and Michigan and then back to Alabama and Auburn, as he would like to visit those schools in March. So maybe Michigan could potentially, get in the mix here for the number 1 receiver Tristen Keys. Would be very big to get him on campus for a visit. And then to wrap up this video, how about Michigan basketball defeating number 7 Purdue last night in a huge victory? The Wolverines pulled off the win 75-73, and they now stand atop in the Big Ten standings all alone at 11-2 in Big Ten play. Purdue in second at 11-3, and Michigan State lost last night to go to 10-3. So all of a sudden it is looking very good for the Wolverines. They made a statement last night. It was a heck of a game, a heck of a battle by both teams, and it was a game where there's still improvement to be made with this Michigan team, but man, they played a physical game and they absolutely earned that win against Purdue. They get their revenge over Purdue after that blowout loss to them a couple of weeks ago, and graduate guard Reuben Jones even said that highlights from Michigan's 27-point loss at Purdue played on the video screens at the William Davidson Player Development Center in the days leading up to the game. So there is no doubt this team, these players, everybody wanted this one. And the Wolverines, they fell down early in the game. It was not looking good, but credit to the Wolverines, including Trey Donaldson, really getting them going. Had some clutch early baskets for the Wolverines. He had 12 points, but it just wasn't him, man. It was every single player on this team putting in fantastic minutes. Vlad Golden had a rough first half, but he really picked it up at the end of the game, picked up some huge rebounds and knocked down some clutch free throws. He had 12 points, and then Danny Wolf had 15 points, 2 assists, 9 rebounds. Reuben Jones had another amazing game, only had 6 points, but those baskets were huge for the Wolverines, including the play that might have put the nail in the coffin. Although Purdue didn't go away, Michigan still had to make some free throws at the end, and Purdue did have a chance to win it at the end, actually. Thankfully, Braden Smith missed the buzzer beater. But Reuben Jones had 6 points, 2 assists, 3 rebounds. Nimari Burnett had some clutch three-pointers, 9 points in that game. And Roddy Gale Jr. had 14 points, 2 assists, 7 rebounds. Michigan needed him to step up big, and he hasn't been playing great recently, but he really played a very good game against Purdue, and Will Cheddar put in some great minutes. He was very physical in this game. The whole team, especially in the second half, they got bullied in that first matchup against Purdue, but credit to the players, and they've adjusted to the physicality of the Big Ten. But I did want to talk about some Dusty May pointers here, what he said in the press conference. He talked about Roddy Gale. He said, I'm extremely proud of Roddy. I think in the first half he kept us within striking distance. I don't want to just talk about his offense though, because his defense was equally as good. Also Reuben Jones, I thought he was everywhere. His quickness, his anticipation. And he said, I don't want to say I feel bad for Michigan fans, but we haven't seen the real Reuben Jones. I do agree with that. He was a very great player at North Texas. I think he's still trying to find his groove here at Michigan, and recently these past 2 games, you can tell he's definitely getting more comfortable. But Dusty May said, especially blocking out, putting your chest on drivers, just being handsy, being active where they're never comfortable is what they needed to improve on and tried to do here in this game to match Purdue's physicality, and they did just that. And Dusty May said, this time around we were the hammer, not the nail, and the Wolverines pick up a huge win over Purdue. And with that, that's gonna wrap up this video. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, make sure to go ahead, drop a like, comment down below, and subscribe for more. If you are new around here, I greatly appreciate it, and we will see you guys in the next video. Go Blue.